Want to audit a $6 million a year Google ad account with me? Let's do it. So my name is Collin Schmelebeck. I manage about 1.5 million a month in Google ad spend for my 15 clients right now. Most of it is on Ecom, but I do have a few lead gen and high ticket book a call funnel clients as well that are a ton of fun. But no, not an info operator. Overall though, I have this lead actually for one of my white label partners, and they wanted me to kind of take a look and see, how can we improve this and just making sure we can actually work well with this client. So if you guys do have any white label questions for me, just let me know. And if you guys have any auctions or audits you want me to do, I meant to say audits for clients that you have or your own stores, let me know. I can do a video just like this, teaching you what you need to do. So let's get into it. Overall, I'm going to keep this very high level in terms of strategy, mainly because my white label partner did not get as much information as I needed to do a full in-depth audit here. And the way I mean this is, how is Google being used in their total media mix? Is it a primary new customer acquisition channel for them and, the only real marketing channel they have? Or do they have a Facebook channel that spends double this every single month, and they're using more as an efficiency play, which in case would be a totally different interpretation of data, as well as how I view the success of these metrics and how I would then tell them what we need to do, right? So over the last year, about 6.35 million in attributed revenue. Of course, this could be biased. I have no idea what their actual media mix is, and they spend about 650K a year, right? With a kind of a downward trend the last couple months, and we'll dig into that. So, going into this niche is a custom computer store. So very higher AOV products, but still ecom. Now, the two main things, I have no idea the primary goal, if they really want to scale aggressively, if the seasonality on the side, if they're launching, a new category, trying to grow their LTV, become more first order profitable, right? I have no idea on that. So we're going to skip that. And the primary KPI, aka a CAC or an NCAC or a ROAS or a MER, no idea. So we just keep moving past that. We can still analyze the data, just won't be as custom to what they actually would need or what level of detail I could get into, right? So looking at this performance, actually did this today, the 7th of May. Aspen, and I'm just looking at trends here for both a short and longer time frame duration. So last 7 days average day spend was $1,000 versus 90 days was over 2K. So they pulled back by 50%, which is quite an aggressive pullback. So it definitely could either be seasonality or they're facing some issues that we might not know about. And we'll get into that very soon. Overall here, click-through rate's very low overall because they're on shopping and PMAX heavy. So a lot of display impressions as well. And the main thing I noticed here was the purchases have gone on quite a bit. From about 10 a day down to 4 a day. And this is actually rounding up. It was actually like 3.8 a day. Revenue down from 18K a day down to 8K a day. So quite a drop in revenue. CAC has gone up from $200. Okay. And even $200 last 30 days up to almost $300 last 7 days. So again, quite a difference coming up here with the pullback. But AOV has increased a little bit from 1831 to just over 2K. So good AOV there. And then the ROAS, right? They are still efficient, but at what level do they need to be since they are reselling other stuff? They do have their own custom products as well, but I have no idea, is 8.7x or a 7.3x good, bad? Who knows? So I have no idea what the ROAS wanted to have or the total MER target if they're looking at a total media mix, how this is actually interpreting to their actual spend and revenue. So knowing this, one big red flag that came out to me, only because I don't know their what this means in their sales cycle, is looking at the conversions. If I go to conversion action last 30 days, we have 2 different conversions firing. So for example, the top spending campaign, they have 44 conversions essentially in the last 30 days. 37 of them came from a checkout success, so a web online purchase, but then they also had 7 come from a sales team. So this is an offline import. And I assume this is, but again, my mother told me never to assume. I assume this is, an offline sales conversion where, the AOB is $2,000. Some people aren't comfortable making that with a direct web purchase, right? So it could be someone calling them and then ordering online, ordering offline with a sales team and gets imported back. If so, that's totally fine. I would be interested to kind of see the AOV difference, looking at further data. I've not done that yet, compared to online. But I also have a feeling this could be more support related issues. And, they're inflating their CAC or actually reducing their CAC by showing, support phone calls or support tickets, or just questions that never actually materialize to any actual revenue. They do have some revenue coming back into this. So again, it's probably a mix, but that'd be something I'd really want to look into and maybe try to only import, certain actual purchases back. And that's the question for their actual brand, since I don't have the information, but just something I wanted to bring your attention. Now, going down here, this is really where it's case dependent on how are they using their actual Google ad funnel. So I don't have a campaign grouping like I just talked about in my last video, because you really should do that. However, something that really worries me is that if you look at sort by, move my big head, sort by cost down, what's the strategy? So 12K in the last 30 days of the 40K they spent total. 12 of that K was for a PC biller PMAX campaign. 11K, almost 12K was for a brand campaign, which I have a problem with. Again, I'll go into why and why not. Then a PMAX pre-built campaign, 2 cold search campaigns that did have warm traffic until about 30 days ago. So that is something that you need to worry about. And then a PMAX campaign, and then a search and GDN campaign that is not doing well, mainly because they had GDN on it and search partners, but just my own thoughts. So getting into this, right? Strategy-wise, I'm not a lover of the strategy. I mean, it is getting results, right? They have gotten, look in the last 30 days, they have gotten, 370K in revenue off of 180 conversions, whether that be phone calls and or web purchases, for a 230 CAC, and they're getting a 9x return. Right now, is that good or bad? I don't know. It has to be decided. But strategy wise, I am not totally a fan, and the reason I'm not 100% not a fan is because I don't know how this is being used in their total media mix. So for example, there are, 2 main situations that this could be done. One is that this is a new customer facing channel, and this is their primary marketing channel. If that's the case, PMAX is doing a great job, and there's no piggybacking or no, slurping off of another ad source, and Google is just not being, picky with who it goes after, and, kind of not actually adding any incremental value for you, just cleaning up low-hanging fruit opportunities that, again, it could be improving that. It could be getting your targeting more, a better, and, actually improving your sales cycle and shortening that sales cycle up a little bit and helping that research phase. Or this could be, a secondary channel, and it's just feeding off of Meta. Let's say Meta is spending, instead of 40K a month on Google, Meta's at 80K a month. So 2 to 1 spend ratio. In that instance, this is, there's 2 different goals then. If that's the case, one could be, hey, I want Google to be a new customer focused channel. I want as little overlap from Meta as possible. Well, then in that instance, PMAX is the wrong way to go about it. And you're just going to be, your channel overlap is going to be very, very high, probably in the 50 to 60% range. If you have Triple Whale, you can look at that. Or it could be, hey, this is a secondary channel, and we're trying to just be as efficient as possible and really just utilize this for remarketing. In that instance, you could be doing a good job with PMAX. Now, I don't think you need to be spending 12 of your 40K on brand, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But there are there's nuances to this strategy and the actual media mix that's being applied. So that's why I can't just come out and say, hey, this is an awful strategy. What are you doing? You can do this, this, and this, and better. It's all about context and actually helping the brand, right? And that's what I'm trying to talk to you guys about. Now, looking at budget allocation, I'm just going to be coming from this from a perspective of it's a new customer channel, and it's likely that Facebook is spending more. I don't know that for sure. It's just likely. But the last 30 days, I classify PMAX, even if you have new customer acquisition, even if you're brand excluded, it does change if Meta is more or not. But I usually classify PMAX, depending on the strategy, as middle of the funnel. And only because it's technically all 3, right? It's prospecting, it's nurturing that traffic, and it's also acquiring that traffic with brand usually, right? Or at least going after very hot traffic that is, they just added a cart or, yesterday or this morning, and then they saw a quick ad again, right? So I usually classify PMAX in the middle of the funnel. It can be different, right? If this was its own channel, and these PMAX campaigns were driving all store traffic that they ever got right now, well, then of course that's top of funnel. Then we would reallocate how I view this. But for now, I'm just classifying top of funnel as just the cold search campaigns. They're only at about 17% of total budget allocation to that. So cold traffic starting new customer journeys, that's way too low. in the situation, if that's the truth. In the middle of the funnel, aka their PMAX campaigns, retargeting warm traffic to aid the sales cycle, help convert them. That's at 55%. So if that's the case, again, there's nuance and it could be depending, but that's way too much. And then brand is way too much, highly likely way too much, spending basically 20% of their spend on branded traffic. Now, there could be a situation, right? And I talk about this here, they've done extensive testing where, for example, the last 30, like for 30 days, they maximize search impression share on brand. And then the next 30 days, they basically didn't spend anything on brand. Was there an additional revenue and lower, higher conversion rates and more efficient use of spend and more new customers when maximizing your and paying for that branded traffic? Or did that revenue that was then shown on Google Ads just get moved to direct, moved to email, moved to organic collection sources? Yes or no? And that kind of tells you how aggressive you need to be on brand. There are some brands where branded ads, for some reason, have a 10% higher conversion rate, a 20% lift in AOV. You can control your branded messaging, you can control where they're going in their funnel, right? There are certain instances where you want branded. Hey, I am a brand advocate because it does help, one, collect all the traffic you're pushing in the top funnel if you're doing it correctly. But then two, you can also train the algorithm, especially for new campaigns or newer accounts. You want Google to understand who is a branded customer, what characters they have, what just levers can we utilize in smart bidding, right? So I'm not saying brand is bad. I usually shoot for like 5 to 10%, but it does depend on, how competitiveness, how many competitors you have on your brand term. How long is the sales cycle? Are you trying to send them to a specific funnel or a specific lander, not your organic stuff? Are you trying to push a certain messaging to them, right? There's a ton of different variations here, but just something to keep in mind. And again, I talk about kind of PMAX. One main thing that a lot of people don't really get is, right, if I go here and let's go here. If I look down here, right, for brand exclusions, if I exclude brand from PMAX, that does not necessarily mean it is a cold customer or cold traffic, right? It will still go if I just added a cart and then I got pulled away, had to go work, and then I saw an ad. Just because I didn't type in the brand name doesn't mean I'm a cold customer, right? So that's the biggest thing I'd really harp on for a lot of people is, oh, I exclude brand. I have new customer acquisition only targeting. It's a cold customer. Not really, especially if you have another higher source like Meta, for example. So just a thought there. Now, looking back here, the benchmarks I like to shoot for in terms of just really understanding if it's supposed to be a new customer focused channel is 78% of budget on top of funnel, 10 to 20% budget on middle of the funnel, and 5 to 10% of budget on bottom of the funnel. Again, this is very, case dependent and strategy dependent what your goals are, but just something to think about. And then for strategy recommendations, just what I'm telling them, there are a few different situations of what we'd want to do. Number one, if this is a new customer focused channel in your primary marketing channel, we don't need to be as aggressive of moving away from Performance Max campaigns or AI built campaigns. I would still want to, try to supplement some search specific channels, or campaigns, some shopping specific campaigns, and then for sure some YouTube stuff, since they are, gaming focused. However, one main thing is I would really want to look at their back-end profitability analysis and kind of see, number one, what are your best sellers on a first-time order basis, products and categories. But then the number two focus is what are also driving your highest LTV. So your ad dollars today are working for you right now, as well as 12 months from now when they actually make the most amount of repeat purchases and most profit, right? Except if you have killing first order products that are hyper profitable and great margins, well, then maximize those as well, right? And number two would be, if this is a secondary channel for you and you have less spend on Meta, there are two main ways you can go about it. If you want this to become a primary channel and scale independently from Meta and not have as much overlap, shift away from PMAX completely. That's not going to be something that you can really do well while becoming independent. It's just not. And then number two would be, if you want to be really hyper efficient, and this is just a profit focused account, collect the low hanging fruit, aid the sales cycle, make sure you can scale Meta like a 1x return. And this is like a 9 or 10x. So your blended media efficiency ratio, let's say, is a 5, for example. Sure, that you can do that. Add some targets, make it more efficient, cut wasted spend on top of funnel stuff, right? And that's very simple. And again, overall, what I recommend to them is I'd want to do both demand capture and demand generation. I will do a video in a short about my scaling codex and how I think through capture and generation stuff kind of campaigns. But depending on the seasonality, search and shopping, people are going to be searching for the custom builds and stuff like that. In YouTube, we have demand generation right there. And if they're going after gamers are on YouTube quite a bit due to live streams and stuff like that. So be an easy way to kind of get in front of them and start just starting that buying process. So if you have any questions on this audit, let me know. If you want your own brand audited and we can make sure it stays anonymous, stuff like that, please just put a comment down below. We can start talking or reach out to me on Twitter. And if you have any questions or video ideas that I can go over and share my screen and actually be tactical with the information I'm sharing and not just theory-based like I used to be, let me know. Have a great day.